Hello there, and welcome to this JNJtabletop video where we're continuing the How to Run Dragon of Icespire Peak adventure. As usual, I'm Jake, and I am joined this time by Sir Marcus of House Winterburn, the real Josh T himself. He's the dungeon master for our other playthrough, Ancient Relics and Hokey Religions. Something you should check out because you can see me play and watch other videos on the channel, which would be great. So
Yeah, and you could
yeah.
see me DM, and you could see Michael and Izzy play different characters as well as Evan play his own character.
But today we're going to be talking about the Mountains Toe Gold Mine quest, which, just to get right up front with this, this is not a great quest, so I don't blame you for clicking on this video. We're going to help you get through it if you decide to run it. I'm actually very thankful that my players did not choose to run this, but we're going to get into more about why this is so clunky or McClunky. McClunky. So there you go. So normally we start this video series off by reading the quest card because we like to look at things from the player's point of view because really they drive the action. So Josh, would you like to do the honors this time?
I'd love to. The Mountains Toe Gold Mine lies 15 miles northeast of Phandalin. The new overseer, Don John Raskin, just made the trip from Neverwinter to Phandalin and needs to be escorted to the mine. There's no telling what dangers lie between here and there. Once you deliver Raskin safe and sound, return to Townmaster Harbin Wester to collect a reward of 100 gold pieces.
Ah, yes. No telling is a very good way to describe this adventure. We'll get into that again in a second.
My request is that you just skip this quest, but
yeah, I was so happy that you guys chose to go on the other stuff. It worked out beautifully. And actually, I wouldn't even blame any DM for just not even including this card, just to avoid it.
And some people might love it, and that's fine. It's just you'll see. It's just clunky. That's all it is.
The basic story here that they didn't mention in the card is that were rats were driven from their home, which is the Shrine of Savras, which is another location kind of near the Butterskull Ranch area off on the eastern part of the map. And then they traveled down the mountain range and made their home here where some dwarven miners were mining gold. Why it wasn't a silver mine, I don't know. But Josh, why is this so clunky?
A number of reasons. First reason being lycanthropes in general, they can only be damaged by either magical or silvered weapons, and then obviously spells and that kind of stuff works too. Assuming you have a party of mostly martial characters, which is usually the case, I think.
Easily could be, even if it's not usual.
Yeah. Why would you have a silvered weapon? You don't start off with one unless you have a player who's just like, I really want to silver my weapons or whatever, and blah, 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 but you're probably not going to have one. It's a little too early for magic weapons, so you're not going to have magic weapons. You're not going to have silver weapons. And you have absolutely no idea that there's were-rats in here. They did absolutely nothing to set the expectation for what you're going to find.
Because there's no telling what dangers.
They specifically
they're upfront about it, right?
Yeah, it's fair. It's true. But no, they said there's no telling what dangers lie between here and there. But they didn't say what dangers lie there. If it was if it was an encounter on the road, then it's okay. I understand. They specifically say that Don John Raskin he doesn't know that there's were-rats there. He doesn't even know what this place looks like or have any sort of map or idea of what the inside of it is like, unless you decide to say like someone escaped and came to town or you ran into them on the road. You're not going to know that there's were-rats there until you're in the inside and outnumbered.
Yeah, and if you watch the first episode of this whole series, I do talk about making sure at least silvered weapons are available for purchase. It's a little bit of a stretch, but you have to think at some point the group is going to go there. Maybe you have Lenine kind of say, oh, we have some silvered weapons too. And in which case, maybe that would prompt the question as to why would I want a silvered weapon? So there is a path to some kind of effectiveness on the part of the characters here, but by and large, it really is a bit of a stretch to me and to Josh as to how it's written. And so it's clunky. We're going to walk you through it though. The main NPC here is Don John Raskin, and when you roleplay him, he's a windbag. He kind of thinks he knows everything because he actually does know a lot of things. He's had a lot of weird jobs. He's done a whole bunch of things. He works for this mining company that's sending him there. And I think it even could be a decent, like, he doesn't know that the were rats are there because he just thinks he's going there to help do whatever they're doing. But maybe he knows about lycanthropes, at least when they're encountered. That could be a thing.
This is definitely like murder hobos beware. You have to go about this. You either have to give your players some extras, or they got to go about this carefully.
Yeah. And I do think that there's definitely some tables out there that probably laugh almost at a more competitive style of D&D where like, ha, I tricked you, you jerks. Now you're all were-rats or you're dead. Like I feel like there's got to be tables out there that would just find that funny and laugh at it.
I don't think they'd be watching this video though.
Probably not.
If
a
you
lot of
are,
first-time
comment.
DMs. Yeah, a lot of first-time DMs are watching this, which as a note, I definitely watch the other videos on our channel, particularly the Dungeon Master Tips playlist. That's going to really be helpful for you. I mean, the goals here are actually not even all that clear. I mean, the only thing really the group has to do in order to get the money is just get Don John Raskin to the mine. And then that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
We could end the video now if we were jerks. We would be like,
there's definitely players out there that'll do that. I feel like if Mac from Ancient Relics was here, he would be like, nah, I'm good, man. I did my job. You done?
Yeah. Yes. I'll just say yes because I'm just gonna say yes.
You should
shouldn't say anything else.
Yeah, you should watch your other playthrough. It also makes a point where Raskin makes a comment like, all right, once we see that there's rare rats, like he's going to say something like, we need to eradicate these guys because they're no good. He even used the term varmints. And you know, if someone says varmints, it's serious.
Can I stop this for a second and just say, did you really just say we need to eradicate these guys? And did you plan that?
I didn't plan that, but this is making it in the video.
Okay.
Raskin does join the journey, so at least he is another meat shield for the group if need be. He only has daggers. I think you could maybe make one of them a magic dagger or maybe one of them silver. Josh, you had a really cool idea. Like if he's this much of like a windbag, kind of a flamboyant, flashy character, you said maybe he just likes beautiful weapons, so they're silver.
Maybe all of them are silver. Maybe they're all ornate silvered weapons just because, he's a show-off. He wants people to see that.
So once the group's ready to go, obviously it's not actually that far. It's 15 miles, so that's only a few hours away. It's like a one day's travel, more or less. But I think there's an opportunity, Josh, you came up with a really nice idea when we were talking about the content here, that there's actually a couple of ideas. Actually, I didn't think of this at all, so I'm really happy you're here. The group shows up and finds a group of dead orcs that apparently was killed by Cryovane. Always good to lean into that overall story, and anytime you can help flesh that out or further enhance it, go for it.
I think regardless of which route you take, the dead orcs is your opportunity to set an expectation and to kind of let your players know what they're getting themselves into. First thing that came to mind when Jake and I were rolling through this and trying to figure it out is it mentions that these dead orcs that were killed by Cryovane, they left behind some weapons, I believe some great axes and some javelins. So maybe because of Cryovane's breath and just presence in that area and near the weapons, they're now some sort of dragon-touched dragon magic, whether it's a wrath weapon or whether you just literally say, and probably easiest is just say, these are +1 weapons temporarily. If anyone can do like an Arcana check or even a nature check or anything along those lines to find out dragon information or magic information, to be like, Cryovane's presence and Cryovane's magic is still felt on these weapons.
Or even if they fail all those checks, they're unnaturally cold.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, it feels like, wow, why is this so extra cold? I don't understand.
Hmm. Player tries to heat it up or something, it still feels cold after the fact. You know, like something like that. Something unnatural. Only thing there is make it temporary. You know, whether you
Yeah.
whether you include it in whatever check that they might make, or if they just know, like, yeah, sometimes this happens when a dragon is so close and so involved in something. The magic is just so strong in the presence of a dragon that it
Yeah.
comes off on these things and it will wear off. So it's not forever, it'll last for an hour or so or something like that.
Yeah.
And this gives them an opportunity to, if they decide to go murder hobo, then they have some weapons.
They're
They
not
could use
completely
them.
helpless. Yeah. And you know
And
what? Don John could even be the guy who he kind of knows a lot of stuff. So
yeah,
he is an avenue where you can feed some information to the group if need be. I kind of sometimes don't like doing things like that, even though it's really not it's not like it's bad. I just like when the group is able to do their own investigating. It's a reason why I kind of am not a big fan of GNPCs, but that's another discussion.
it's also a reason why quests like these are just aren't great, because it almost requires you to do something like that. Um, not that it
Yeah,
requires, but it's just they need something else. They can't really they can figure it out on their own, but not like effectively. You know, it's,
yeah,
I don't
I
know.
agree.
Other option, and I might like this option better actually, but that's up for you to decide which one you prefer. There are two were rat female guards at the front of this cave entrance and this mine entrance. I would say one of them could be checking out the orcs. You know, they would absolutely know if it was nearby. They would know that this happened. They would hear or see Cryovane and probably want to check it out. This gives you an opportunity to basically show the players what they're getting into before they get into it. They see that this were rat and they're like, what the heck is that? Or they're like, oh, it's a were rat. And they could either try to fight it, in which case they will find out, hey, my weapons don't hurt this thing.
How come that my sword stopped cutting? It's weird.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
sharpened it this morning.
It's a low risk way to show your players what's coming,
Yeah.
because if they don't find out beforehand, they're going to find out when they're inside of this cave, and we'll explain more as we get further. But essentially, there's probably going to be like at least 5 or 6 of them in this cave, if not more, and it would really suck to attempt a battle there and then suddenly you go through an entire round of combat and none of your attacks work on them, but all of their attacks work on you. And now you either try that again, rinse and repeat, or you escape and still get another 6 attacks on you. Either way, it's pretty bad.
It's nice to have all of the options. Like, hey, I want to fight. Hey, I want to talk. Hey, I want to do something else that players do what players do. But
Yeah.
it's nice to have more than one way to success. This just feels very railroady, kind of. There's only one way to do this.
Yeah. And you could combine the two as well. So like maybe there's a dragon touched great axe there. And you're like, my attacks aren't working, whatever. But like you noticed that this thing was cold, so you pick it up and swipe, and hey, it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, maybe they watch the were rat pick up one of the weapons and they go, ah, and they drop it so they can see, like, it did something.
yep.
That's a show and not tell. That's always fun.
Hmm.
I really like both of those options because they feel like you are definitely giving the warning signs as the DM. And I think a lot of people that are playing this adventure are either new DMs and or new players. So if this doesn't feel like it's going smooth, that's okay. You didn't like fail as a DM either. Like you could find ways to like make things obvious and or work for your table. We're just trying to make it all kind of feel cohesive and believable as best we can. Now that the group has arrived at the mine itself, I think it's good to lean into. It seems like maybe there should be activity. Maybe Don John might make some kind of offhand comment like that seems a little odd. There should be something going on. Maybe if you took the where at idea that Josh literally just said, it makes a little more sense. However, there's 3 ways that the group could conceivably get in. There's the front door, which is the westernmost entrance. The back door really is the easternmost entrance, and then there's like one where this carry-on crawler, which is like this giant worm centipede thing with pincers and stuff. Anyways, that's sort of near the graveyard section that's listed on the map. And those are the three ways that they could conceivably get in. I personally find it difficult to find an intelligent reason not to just walk in the front door. I'm not saying that it wouldn't happen, because why not? I mean, especially I feel like a lot of dungeon masters are just gonna throw the map on the table or anything like that. But what do you guys want to do? But the thing is really people aren't supposed to know the layout before they get there. So assuming that they walk through the front door, the very first thing that's going to be encountered is section M1, and that is the guard post. And this is what Josh was talking about before when he said there were two were rats that were guarding this place. And as soon as they encounter them, they offer to escort the group to their leader, Zeline Varnaster. But you had another good idea here, Josh. You were talking about. I feel like I used to work in a you talking to you. Uh, I used to work in a warehouse, a very large warehouse, and it was very common for like a checkpoint for like a guard or anything like that. But like this is where like say a truck driver would come with a delivery they might go to, and this would make sense for a guard post. And there could be a map of the mine right there where maybe a player could see it. That rogue, rogues do what rogues do. Maybe they do some swiping and some stealing, and they take the map, or even if they just take a moment to look at it. I think that could also potentially help arm the players with just a little bit of extra knowledge that they normally wouldn't have. It's kind of a big deal.
I would say that on that map, it wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility that they have like a picture of the carry-on crawler or something in that section, or just if there's like a big enemy that they don't want
Yeah.
to come across, like they probably have it like marked off, like so like maybe like a skull and crossbones or something, or just a skull like on that spot, or just anything just to give your players a hint that like something's there, you know. But I think they would definitely have some sort of warning for like there's a monster that lives here. Have fun with that. Explain it how you want.
From this M1 section, the next thing they do is they bring him to M4, which in this were rat den, and this is why everything feels very like, ooh, this is when, like, if you're not preparing your players, things get weird.
Yeah.
There's four giant rats, which, I mean, it's just more actions, more enemies to deal with. And then there's one male were rat for each character, including Don John Raskin. So if we use our playthrough as an example, Josh, that would have been four, because you have Marcus, Daisy, Landor, and Don John, plus the two guards that escorted them. So that's 5 and 6. And the leader. There's 7 of them. You're outnumbered nearly 2 to 1. Yeah. So, I mean, there is some negotiations. I mean, this is where the players could learn that the orcs drove them out of their home. I just love that they're lying about it, though. Yeah, if you clear out our home, we'll go back. It's totally fine. You can have your mind back. Just like,
It
nah,
just
we're not leaving.
it feels like pointless though. Like why would they lie and say like what's the just to get you to leave? Like just go do this thing and then we'll come back. Like is it just a like say you return, how do you RP that? It's just like ha nerd.
You
Like
fool!
yeah, exactly.
You fell for one of my classic pranks. They have you surrounded. This is what they almost
Yeah.
should just attack.
This is the problem. This is why I think you need to let them know beforehand of what they're getting into, because if you go into say aggressive negotiations, it's going to be really bad for you because there's 7 of them and there are only so many of you, and you're not going to be able to damage them. Hopefully your players are smart and they find that out in one round of combat, but if they don't, they're just going to get absolutely wrecked, and they're probably going to be upset about it, especially if they're new players. They're going to feel deceived.
And that's the thing too. It's not even that it's just the immunity. I know if any of my players came down with lycanthropy, I would be like, that sucks. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I couldn't ever feel like, okay, this isn't something that I'm like willing to accept. But if in this circumstance to have that happen, it just feels so cheesy. It just feels so cheesy.
It
Like,
especially feels cheesy because they're were rats. And
I knew
I
you'd.
meant
Yes.
that partially as a pun, but also because literally any other type I wouldn't be as mad about. Wolf, bear, tiger, like awesome. Like it's kind of cool. You
Yeah.
know, it's not
Yep.
ideal, really
I
what you
see.
want, but at least it's something cool. A rat? Come on, I would be so mad.
Like, okay, like, so I could turn into a rat. Okay, got it. But there is some treasure here, some goggles of night. There's, some coin, nothing too crazy. I think if you wanted to be interested, maybe if they could have confiscated a magic weapon that they found, maybe one of the miners had something that was interesting, but I think it would be good to somehow make it stand out. Like just ask for perception checks, or if there's a high passive perception, whatever, so that at least maybe a hero could somehow grab it and do their thing. But
Yeah.
it's clunky.
You could also either say that whatever weapons they're carrying, even if they're not +1 weapons or magical weapons or silver, they still affect them, because I'm sure they would want to be able to defend themselves against each other if they had to. So you could say that their weapons work, and then if that's the case, then maybe the rogue is able to steal one. Maybe you have a battle master that's able to do a disarming attack and then pick it up, or something along those lines. But you're asking a lot from your players to be able to even figure that out. You know,
I totally agree.
if your players do decide to do that thing and go to the shrine and clear it out, obviously that's a whole other quest. We're not really going to get into the details of that right now, but there are no magic weapons or silvered weapons as like rewards there. Put something there, like some sort of like sword of Severus, or like something like that. Just something that they can use that's going to help them. Give them an actual reward for doing that extra step of this quest that's going to help them, instead of it just being a, hey, I did this thing and then I came back and they said like, idiot, like
Like in one word.
yeah, 2 words, big yikes. That's 3 words, but
I butchered that, but that's very good advice. To Joshua, listen. Section 11 is the carrion crawler's home. It's where they live. One thing could be interesting, like if you are foreshadowing the little skull and crossbones, and like the players quickly identify, like, we are in deep trouble. Run to the skull and crossbones. Like, that could be something, like maybe we could pit this thing against them and do something there and let it be someone else's problem. But that's also another entryway. I think it says it's 20 feet up on the mountain's rocky slope there. It's like a DC 10 athletics check to climb and get in there, so it's not too bad, unless of course you're in ancient relics and Hoki religions, in which we don't talk about climbing.
they do not know how to climb.
It's not good. So that's the carrion crawler. M13, the rat infested cave. There's really, I mean, this could be good. This could be just annoying depending on the pace of this particular adventure. It's really just a few more giant rats to throw at the group. Could be good. Really, just I think that's a judgment call as to how you want to use that in your particular playthrough. But M14 and M15, we have the Miners' Retreat. And this is an interesting opportunity because you have some dwarves that are hungry. They live here. They refuse to give up. They've even buried some of their dead outside in the graveyard section outside near M11. And I think this is where you could have some interesting stuff. Although, with the way it's laid out, it's hard for me to imagine the players getting here when it matters. And that's the frustrating part, because there's something nice here that you could do.
I don't know if I'm getting ahead of myself, but I feel like the only unless you're giving your players tools ahead of time, the only way that this quest works is if your players go in, they're super passive and agreeable, they leave and then they come back. And if you're giving them that map, that they can see, the player that's smart, that looks at it quick and realizes, well, it looks like there might be an entrance in the back. When they return, they go in through the back, then they could have some sort of conversation with the miners, or
Yeah.
it just sucks that there's nothing set up with a way for them to know. The
Yeah.
person who's supposed to be in charge, the person who works here, it's like, do you even go here? Like, he doesn't know the layout. He doesn't know that there's
Yeah.
miners in this area. Like,
Yeah.
it's just
I think it would be probably smart to at least say like there should be another way in. Like he should know that. Like maybe that's like a
Mhm.
standard operating procedure for the company or even just mining in general. I don't know anything about mining. So if you're watching this and you do, if you have something of interest to share, please do because that would be really nice to know.
Yeah.
But I think it would be cool. Like maybe like these dwarves, like they're miners, like they're not warriors, but perhaps they figured out by the hard way that we have to like silver a weapon or something like that. It's our only chance of defending ourselves. But they come across a group of capable adventurers,
Mhm.
and they're like, "Oh my gosh! Like you can use this thing, you can defend them and us and drive them out. Like there's opportunity here." But it's just so weird to feel like how is this gonna how
Yeah. One thing I would add to the section 4 and the where at 10 is this is an opportunity for Don John to say there were miners who worked here, like where are they? And then hopefully the where at just said, oh, like well they're in the back. They won't leave, like something along those lines. So like they'll either get bored or they'll starve in there.
Maybe it's more
And
like we're gonna kill them unless you drive the orcs out of our home. That could be a decent little.
yeah,
Okay, there's
I
some
like that.
motive there.
Hmm.
Kind of straightforward and simple too. I like simple.
But I like to imagine, like, once you actually get to the miners, that there's like one of them who has either this like ancestral weapon or silvered weapon or something, and he's just like, this is the only thing that's worked against them, and I'm not letting go of it. And like, if they're getting in here, they're gonna have to go through me first, and then just be like, well, hey, look, you're a miner, you're a commoner. I'm trained in this. Let me use this. I'll give it back to you. Like that kind of thing. Like, let us help me help you. And
Help me to
you know,
help you.
it gives you some
Absolutely.
RP, it gives them a tool or anything. Just trying to help the players because the Essentials kit did not at
It
all.
didn't. Really didn't. Really didn't. Josh, at the end of these videos, normally I evaluate it. You phrased it really well. And I'm just gonna read really the way you said it. You said this feels like you either have to give the players too much, or they have to do things a specific way. And really, in either of those cases, it's less of a storytelling game that everybody's working on together, and more of like, hey, we're just gonna tell this story, and hope you like it. It's a little weird, it's really it's too easy to fail.
That's what it comes down to for me is it's way too easy to fail. This game is all about setting expectations, and if you watch any of our other videos, if you've watched our session 0 or most of them in the DM playlist, they're going to mention or give examples of setting expectations in some way. And this quest fails every step of the way to set any sort of expectation for what's to come and prepare the players for it.
It's a
It,
big
it
old
doesn't.
gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like you want to screw them over. There just needs to be some sort of way where they find out what they're getting into. I think the best way of doing it is that tease of like whether there's one or two where rats outside or some sort of encounter where they can see and find out, and it's not just like, hey, well, I rolled this die and now I know that like they're not hurt by regular weapons, and it's an actual, I saw it, or I fought one of them myself, and one of them was wrecking four of us because we couldn't hurt it. Just some sort of way to find out before you're surrounded by seven of them.
Oh yeah, that would be a much better way to handle things. But you're absolutely right. Our videos are littered with set expectations because it really is just about the most important thing that you can do, whether you're the DM or working together with the players to player to DM. Absolutely, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, you need to do that. You also need to like this video because it really just helps other people that are trying to learn this game and learn this specific adventure find it. Really, that's how it works. And if you have run this adventure or if you have any creative ideas you want to discuss, do that in the comment section because these videos can help other people just, spark ideas, find what works for them at their tables, and we're going to figure out how to do this together. So, Josh, thanks for joining me on this adventure quest thing.
Thanks for having me on it. I'm glad we didn't do this quest when
I
I
really
played.
am too. Yes.
Can I also just say, like, if you played this quest and you liked it, or if you ran this quest and you liked it, Tell us a little story about it in the comments. And that's not even like a like please give me engagement. That's like I genuinely want
Yeah.
to know because for me, and I think I could say for Jake too, it's just not clicking.
Yeah, especially if you had a good experience. We want to know
Oh
about that.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll hear about your bad experiences too, but I
Of
was
course.
thinking, like, if you're like, I don't know what they're talking about. This quest was awesome. Like, sorry, I'm not
Yep.
trying to yuck your yum, but it's just this does just not working for me. That's all it is.
So with that, we will just say thank you so much for watching. Let us know how your playthrough is going and check the description for things like Discord links, Twitter, Twitch, all that stuff. And we hope you're having a good time in your playthrough. All right. Take care, everybody.